Hello, and I'm Leto from Range Team Gaming. I'm here today to talk a little bit about Helldivers, what you need to learn. So let's get into it. Alright, so first things first. If you're playing Helldivers, you're going to want to look around, you're going to want to look at things. And it's really big to note. But there's a couple things you need to know. For one, on the right hand side of the screen there's super credits and there's medals. Medals are what are you going to use to use warp bond progression and all of that other stuff. Super credits, use it as superstore. Like all of these that you see here, and actually that one's pretty freaking nice, I'm not gonna lie to you. Looks like an aviation suit. But a lot of these you can get inside of the game. And that's the thing, is they offer you the ability to get all these super credits, and that allows you to go get other things, like certain war bonds, Polar Patriots, Democratic Detonation, Cutting Edge, Steel Veterans, and even for the Helldivers Mobilize. They did a really good job, or Arrowhead did, on making sure that you can get everything that you want directly out of this. And the best part is, you can get these by playing the game. Now, I realize that some people may say, okay, well, what are you talking about? Like, what are you getting at?
The Galactic War waits for no one. Are you ready, Helldiver?
On this particular planet, Errata Prime, right, we have trivial, easy, medium, challenging, hard, extreme, suicide, impossible, and Helldive. Now, I haven't made it that far, but as far as trivial concerned, you just have enemy patrols. They're not organized, they're not going after you because they know that you're starting off. And that's understandable. Now, the next point I want to bring out is easy. It says Allied Tactical Objectives, Light Outposts. You will run into outposts where they keep making enemies. You can take them out, you won't have to deal with them. And that allows you to roam around the map and find stuff. They're generally gracious on how long you can stay on a planet, but you usually want to be in and out between 30 minutes. Now the next one, it says secondary objectives, medium outposts, and heavily armored enemies. That's whenever you really start getting into issues. So if you're just starting out, you don't really know what's going on, let's stick to one or two, and then kind of learn as you go. Heavily armed enemies, they need big explosives or something of that nature. You get medium outposts, so it's not just like one or two. There's usually 2 to 3, sometimes 4 secondary objectives, meaning there's other things on the side of the screen, at least on the map, that you will need to do. 4, enemy tactical objectives, heavy outposts, heavily armored enemies. Now, at this point, you really start having to think about, like, if you're playing by yourself, what are you going to do? For me, I usually load up something that's going to be able to go in, get things done, and then don't worry about doing secondary objectives. If the secondary objective works, great. If not, okay. Like, I'm not beat up, I'm not miffed about it, and I can deal with it. Now, There's operation modifiers, there's massive enemies, they're heavily armored enemies. So we're talking like if you're talking about automatons, you're looking at big enemies like walkers and tanks and lots of striders and heavily armored units, as well as, but not limited to, smaller enemies as well. There's also a lot of jumpers and suiciders. That is the automatons. Now, if you're talking about Terminids, like this is, you're going to have the smaller enemies, the medium-sized enemies. You're going to have stalkers. You're going to have a lot of stalkers. I'll explain what stalkers are in a minute. And then you also have massive enemies like Bile Titans and Chargers, and I'm sure that there's other things that I have not seen yet. But all in all, it's not going to be a fun time, and I heavily suggest that you don't do it by yourself. Now, if you're able to do this, by all means, go ahead. I certainly am not at this point in time. But it is worth noting that it is something that you have to work up towards. And then 6, 7, and 8, and 9, I haven't made it up to yet. This is only just starting out, but these are things that we would have to look at further down the line. Now, as I post more videos and do more in-depth analysis of this, I will be posting more videos on top of all of this and bringing my thoughts together. Now, do I think it's a challenging game? Absolutely. I think it's probably one of the best adaptations of a sci-fi universe that can be implemented in a third/first-person shooter. Now, I say first because you can switch from third to first. I personally prefer first myself. It has a more in-depth feeling, a more grounded feeling. For a lot of people like myself who are previous veterans, games like this bring back good memories.